Hey everyone, I know it's been a little while, but just kind of wanted to hop on real quick because I've officially purchased the two cheapest cordless polishers on Amazon right now. And there's literally zero YouTube presence on it. So for anyone who's kind of questioning the product on Amazon, I just wanted to get something out there so you've got something to watch. Um, Unfortunately, it's below freezing outside right now, so I haven't had a chance to take the time to get these on a car. But I've been kind of playing around with them a little bit inside. So rather than making you wait a few months until I get a chance to get out there, just want to get something up real quick. I also have some of my corded polishers here just to run a comparison, noise levels, things like that. So anyway, this is the Popoman. Um, it's a 20 volt, comes with a 4 amp hour battery, brushless motor. Um, the price runs $169 on Amazon. It was then $10 off, and then they had a $50 clip coupon. So it ended up being $110, which is pretty crazy for a cordless polisher considering your big name brands are running, between $400 and $600 for a similar package with battery. Um, Batteries are also available separately on Amazon right now, about $37 for the battery. So I do have a couple of those. This one that came with it and a backup just in case. So um, from what I'm seeing, the batteries run. They say more than a half hour. Half hour seems to be the average runtime for any battery in the industry. Um, so that's why I've got a couple. And then, we'll see how that works out when I actually get time to spend with it on a car. But general stats on this, it has a range, I believe it's 1500 RPM to 5000 RPM, or 5500 RPM, I think it is. 1500 to 5500, and has 6 settings on the dial to get you up to top speed. A couple things about this. One, it has this little guard on the front. At first, when I saw it online, I thought, well, maybe that's a guard to keep it from bouncing against things on your car. So I actually plan on taking it off. But I noticed once I got it in my hand, it's actually a nice place to have your pinky there, and you get a little bit more finesse putting pressure on this guard, which is nice. Throw on this is 9mm, so it's not a long throw polisher. But at the same time, people seem to love their Griot's G9 corded polisher. So if they're having decent results with a 9mm throw on that, I figured again for $110, I would try something with a 9mm throw. If you're looking at this, there's a good chance that you're also comparing it against the SPTA, which is a long throw 15mm polisher, and that's one that I was looking at as well. The nice thing about that package, so about $200 gets you the long throw cordless with 2 batteries. So that's a pretty good deal on the SPTA. Downside is, and the single biggest reason why I didn't get it, is it has a very strange speed control on it. So if you've looked at it already, you'll notice the speed control on the SPTA is down here, and it has 3 steps. So you have your low, medium, high, which isn't a huge difference because chances are even with this, you're going to use your low speed for applying waxes, medium for polishes, and then high for correcting. So you're probably not going to fluctuate very much in between those. But with the SPTA, you have to first pull the trigger to activate the speed control, and then you set the speed control. And then you can go back. And that was, from what I understand, the first release of it. The updated release, actually now you have to hold the trigger while you set the speed, which seems like it'd be kind of a pain to deal with. Just really wasn't in the mood to work with that. I wanted something that had more of a traditional dial. The only downside with the dial is it's a white number on a yellow dial, so it's a little hard to see, but you have very solid clicks in between, and you have a total of 10 clicks. So even if you hit this on one, you're getting your polish spread around, and then you click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're right there in the middle, and you're at your polish speed. So it's really not too bad. If there's anything I could change on this, it has this nice rest on the back to keep it level, which is cool. I'd like to see that rubberized so it wouldn't slide around as much. The other thing is it has a trigger, which is a must for me. I learned that on this Chicago Electric, which we'll get into in a minute. Because one of the other ones I was looking at was the Adams cordless swirl killer, but there was no way I was going to buy it because it doesn't have a trigger. Trigger just makes it so much easier to, finesse it around rather than dealing with it on, off, and then your speed control. The only downside to this one, this trigger versus the trigger on my Max Shine, is it's basically on or off. Where the Max Shine, you can control, slowly pulling the trigger, control it up to that max speed that you have the setting on. So this Max Shine, the way that trigger is set up, you definitely get to finesse it a little bit more, where this is straight on. But again, not a huge deal, because it does have that lock. So if you can lock it on, get your stuff going, got your thumb right there, and speed it up while it's going. So not a huge deal. I just really wanted that trigger. Other than that, it's slightly lighter than the Max Shine with the battery installed. So it's not a heavier machine by any means, and I think the brushless motor has a lot to do with that. It's just a lighter, smaller, more efficient motor. And because you've got the battery back here, the motor up here, it's actually very well balanced, where Max Shine, all the weight is forward of the handle. So, we'll see how that helps with fatigue and stuff working on a vehicle. But a couple things that I wanted to compare here is noise level. So we'll start with my first polisher, which was a Chicago Electric. This is what Harbor Freight carried before they moved to the Bauer brand, but a very similar basic machine. Now I do have this came with a 6-inch backing plate. Dropped it down to 3-inch after I got the Max Shine. And I did change the grease in here, so it is actually slightly quieter than when I first picked it up. But just a noise test, I don't know how much difference this microphone is going to pick up. But here we go, I've got it starting. And again, I mentioned this has the on-off switch, very similar to that cordless swirl killer or Porter cable. The current Bauer version of this all has this on-off switch, the cheaper Torque. A lot of your less expensive polishers are going to just have this on-off switch. And it really is a pain in the butt, especially with the way that this Chicago Electric is set up with the speed control way in the back. So, you really need to be running both hands to really control the speed changes. So anyway, here we go. I'm going to run it, start it at 1, move it up to the top speed, and this is just noise level testing. So that's the Chicago Electric. I remember when I first, when this polisher first got delivered, I was down here testing out all the different polishers together. My 2-year-old was running around, and so I turned these on first, and he kind of ran off to the other side of the basement. And when I pulled this out, he got really nervous. When I pulled the trigger, he's like, "That's not loud." So I have to agree that that is, and we'll get to there in a minute, but this is a much quieter running machine. So here's the max shine. This has the little scale on the back, the graph to tell you that it actually says it starts at 2200 RPM and works up to 5000. So we're going to start at that level 1 and work our way up. So, and then here's what I mean. You just slowly pull that trigger back and then lock it in so it's level 1. So incredibly smooth compared to the Chicago Electric, but definitely a noisy machine as well. So we'll set that aside and then move on to this cordless. And again, we'll start this at 1. And like I mentioned, this starts at 1500 RPM, so it starts a little slower and works up to 5500 RPM. So it claims to have a larger speed range than what the Max Shine has. So let's go ahead and pull that now. Lock the trigger, and I'm going to click up speeds. So definitely a quieter running machine. So like I said, I'm just looking forward to getting this on the paint, seeing how it works. It does like any cordless in its class, or any cordless at all. It's going to give you the battery readout there. I've read it takes anywhere, roughly about an hour and a half to charge a battery. So that's why, with 2 batteries, I actually have 2 chargers. So just to make sure that that's all ready to go. One thing I did when I was looking at this is, so the battery's about $37, $38. The charger's about $25, $26. So together we were looking about $65 for another battery and a charger. So I decided to look at other Popoman tools that came with the 4 amp hour battery. And so they had an angle grinder that, after the click and save coupon, came down to, I think it was like $72 or something like that. So I got the battery and the charger, and then essentially a whole nother tool for the extra $7. So just something to keep in mind, if you needed a circular saw or something like that at the same time, it might be worth checking out something that Popoman has with the same size battery. So that's it for the full size. Again, this came with a 6-inch backing plate, just like the Chicago Electric did. I dropped that down to a 5-inch because all the pads I'm running are 5-inch pads. The other little one that I stumbled across the other day is a PosenPro. It's a mini polisher. It came with a 4-inch pad. I dropped that down to a 3-inch pad. So it's basically going to, so this combo is going to replace this combo. This is a 12 volt, 2 amp hour battery. So, not as powerful, obviously, because of the size. I think this would kind of look funky with the giant 20 volt, 4 amp battery hanging off the back. But, this is nice for running the pillars, smaller areas like that. So you technically wouldn't really need as much of a runtime as you would the larger machine. This one, it was pretty new on Amazon. There's, no reviews on it or anything like that. And I wasn't able to find a separate spare battery. So what I ended up doing, I actually did need a cordless tire inflator. So PosenPro has one of those, um, and had a coupon on that. So got another battery and another charger and a whole nother tool. So but at the price, this was $59.99, so $60, and then there's a 10% click and save. So $54 for a little cordless 3-inch polisher. So it was, I um, really couldn't pass it up. My initial plan with this was I was going to switch out between the plates, so a 5-inch, and then throw a 3-inch on there when I needed to switch. And for that, I'd probably need a third battery just to make sure I had the full runtime. So I just decided to go with something like this, a little bit easier to maneuver, lightweight, things like that. Um, so we've got my only complaint really so far with this, and again, I haven't had it on paint, but there's no battery indicator on here, so I don't know how much battery is left in this. Ironically, the tire inflator has a screen that shows you the battery level, so I might keep that handy if needed, or I might just let it run out. This one does have the switch that I'm not really a huge fan of, but one advantage that this has, and we'll turn this on real quick, and that switches on. This actually takes you to 0 instead of level 1. So it is on now, and now once it's on, you can actually just finesse your speed this way while it's running and then knock it back down to 0. So you don't have to turn it off every time. You don't have to turn the switch off every time you take it off the paint. So that's going to be a big help. Where with this one, you'd have to slow it down and then reach over and turn the switch off in order to get it to stop, take it off the paint. So that was kind of annoying just to keep it, do that to keep it from slinging. So this is rated obviously from 0 RPM up to 5,000. So here's what this one sounds like so here we start at level 1, very slow. And we'll crank this up to the max. Turn it back off. There you go. So again, things that I've learned as I've moved through polishers. I bought this one. It was my first polisher. It was inexpensive. Probably about $50, I think I paid for it. Learned quickly that I really hated that switch. So that's when I decided to go with the max shine and then increase my throw. So I guess if I have any hardcore correcting that I have to do, I might pull the max shine back out because of its longer throw. It's a 15 millimeter. But this is just for taking care of my own cars. Paint's in very good shape, so it's rather than paint correction, it's more paint enhancement that I'm working with. So that's why I think this 9 millimeter throw will be just fine. So yeah, I wanted to move up from this pretty much right away because of that switch. I just couldn't take it anymore. So got the max shine, loved that, but then I found that I still didn't like dealing with the cord, especially since we have 2 large SUVs dealing with the roof and stretching over, and you got the cord hanging over your shoulder and you're trying to reach around, and then you pull it back, you wipe it off, get more polish on there, the cord slid off, and cord management was kind of took the fun out of it for me being a hobbyist. The intent is to do this for fun, and it just wasn't fun having to deal with the cords, and then either running an extension cord or unplugging it from one side of the garage to the other side of the garage when you switch the side of the vehicle. So I liked the idea of going cordless, looked at that SPTA, but was just hesitant because of that weird speed control setup. So I was excited to see this Popoman show up. So can't wait to get out with that. And then pretty excited to see this PosenPro show up and how inexpensive that was. So basically, with the coupons and deals that they had, I think between these 2 polishers, maybe $160, which, which is about what I paid for the Max Shine on sale for its by itself, which now regular price I think is like 210 on that. So, and I would never spend the $400 to $600 on you know, a Flex or a DeWalt cordless. I wouldn't deal with that. So again, I just wanted to get this video up because I do not see anything on YouTube for this one at all. So hopefully it helps just being able to kind of see it assembled and listen to it. I found one video of this. I think it was actually from Mexico, because the gentleman was speaking in Spanish, and everything was typed in Spanish. So I did send him a question. He was very nice and got back to me right away as far as longevity. He said he's seeing about 15 to 20 minutes battery runtime on this, which is kind of what I expected since it's a 2 amp hour. So I expected it to run about half as long as the 4 amp hour version. So again, not a deal breaker because I got the second battery and I'm just running it on pillars and tight spots like that. So, but that is it. You know, if you have any questions, type them in below. I'll try to do my best in answering them as quickly as possible and as thorough as possible without being able to get this onto the actual paint of a car. So once I am able to do that, I'll probably throw another video up. But just wanted to get this one out as soon as I could. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.